Welcome to Insights. I'm Eric, and today I'm going to do a review of Alibaba. A subscriber kind of was talking about Alibaba, and I also noticed it when I ran the company matrix or stock matrix that I have privately, and I noticed that Alibaba was standing out relative to many of the high-tech large U.S. big tech names. It was in a deeper consolidation where everything else is pretty much aligned up. And we want to frame the analysis based in the evolution of the trade, and the first thing you do, and you're going to have to follow along with my matrix here, is you establish the phase. In column B it's empty, so it's A and E, but this is not just a regular A and E phase because the daily and weekly are now down. The daily's down here, the weekly's down, and the primary trend is still up with basically moderate statistics. Close to zero, which means everything's slightly above the mean. But this correction, which we'll take a look at when we look at the charts, is deeper. It's much deeper than the U.S. technology stocks, and it's difficult to try and assess what's going on by just judging. Either this is China specific or it's a foreshadow of what's coming to the U.S. technology market. I would keep a close eye on it. I do. I personally don't trade this security, but it's a leader for e-commerce. And we can take a look at the charts and create a temporary tab here. Here's the daily. You can see that green are up phases, and we've been in a down cycle for quite some time, and that's confirmed here in the daily statistics. We've been down for 41 days, which is it's almost extended, and the price move is extended down at 2 standard deviations. So this move down here is getting extended, and I'm sure it's getting people nervous. The weekly just flipped, and that's where this correction could even be bigger, and perhaps it's violating some important trend lines in the process. But we can see in the chart quickly that you lost the green shading, and as you look in the weekly trend statistics, you can see that the price and time cycles are quite negative still. So the weekly down move is still relatively young. It can stay that way and then it can flip back again, or this could be a start of a bigger correction of which you should question whether or not the primary trend's got enough life left in it, because if this thing flips, if you have a long position in Alibaba, it's time to get out. The time was probably to profit when the rally was in place, because the daily rally that had been running from here to here was quite a long time. You obviously generated maybe a 2-3 standard deviations price move. This would have been a logical profit point. Now at this point, whatever's left, if you've been in Alibaba for a long time, you don't want to hang on to it if the primary trend flips. And so the question is where support lie? These are the same types of charts we look in the traditional matrix. Inside the reversal tabs of this form, we can see that the supply and demand zones above the weekly and daily gaps, or the supply demand zones, are fairly clear, and there's a lot of room, and it's 232. You can see these numbers are pretty significantly below this yet, and there's layers of support down here that starts to begin at 225, but it also extends out to 188, and that's a pretty big gap, and this is defined by these green bands here. So the price could drop all the way down into this area before it finds support. And if you take a look at the Pro and Public Index for Alibaba, you can see where the concerns should have been, have been long established. There's been a negative divergence between the Pro Index and the price. Price is here, Pro Index is here, it's professional. It's initially bought the rally, but they've been distributing ever since. And as this market has made new highs, the Pro Index has failed to confirm the rally. And what the markets tend to do is in periods of negative divergences, is that price often comes back and retests the point of which the divergence originated or breaks below it. So this is a concern for this particular stock. The Pro Index could break below, it could start trending lower. The public is also selling. And how you separate this from U.S. technology stocks, I'm not too certain, but it could be a correlation that's worth looking at, or it could be something that's completely related to the CEO or China in particular. The U.S. is the world's core economy, and China is the significant periphery economy. But they're pretty intertwined with one another. So failure in maybe the world's, well, not maybe, definitely the world's second largest or the largest periphery economy is problematic. So 2021 could be a difficult setup for not only this stock, but maybe technology stocks. But we'll have to keep an eye on it. One thing that we haven't talked about too much is seasonality, and Alibaba has had seasonal trends established since 2014. And you can kind of look at which months it tends to do well in relative to others. January tends to be a good month. So if it struggles here in January, the correction could go a little bit deeper and continue into February, of which this stock has been up a lot. So there's not really any months that are particularly bad other than December. So December was you should have been warned that it was coming. So we should find support in this month. January is a strong month. If it turns out to be a strong month, or if the daily and weekly basically stop going down, the play in the evolution of the trade for this particular stock is to wait for triple alignment to return. You have to have the weekly trend flip back up, has to go from down to up. And these statistics will shift back over here, and the daily has to go from down to up, and these statistics have to shift back over here. You'll get triple alignment, and then the triple alignment will be within a primary uptrend right here, and that would be a reset. And there's no energy in individual companies, so you can't see what necessarily the invisible hand is doing. The only thing we can keep an eye on is whether or not the pros are buying into January. What you might want to see is an uptick here and some buying as it starts to turn. A market that's in a well-defined downtrend tends to go into cause building or sideways action for a while, and how the professionals play that sideways action will be telling whether if they continue to sell, it'll dip down. If they buy as the price goes flat, that would be an indication that there's going to be a resumption of the upward move. And you can use that and become more aggressive when we get a reset signal here. So that's the position of Alibaba, and there's obviously other companies here, and I'll scroll through and you can take a quick look at them. This is the matrix for companies and for individual securities. It's not ready to be published yet, but we're working on it. So if you have any comments or questions, contact me or leave anything under the comments of the video. Watch all the other videos. The analysis of evolution of trade is the same for all securities. So going through this exercise works for everything else. This works for the same as gold, silver, corn, soybeans, coffee, anything. So the logic is absolutely the same. That's why it's repeatable. So we'll keep more of an eye, and we'll talk about some other companies in the coming weeks. And until then, have good trading for the week, and have a good week.